So here's where in this town, essentially people that kind of represent having two memories and two personalities, basically. Those people are what you would call a full-blown, fully developed S&M psychopath. That these law enforcement are basically this. And so, essentially, they sit around sound torturing, right? And people into suicide. That is that personality's attempted murder. And then when they snap, they essentially attempt to drive over just to shoot the person. So, what the Mormon temple was doing was that they would essentially get them to stop, and then they go back into their other personality, and then they go right back into doing this. And then the Mormon temple was explaining how that was the acceptable. That's what they consider like an acceptable option. That these people need to go to the psych unit. And they also need to be arrested for essentially attempted murder. And so that's like where there's, right when they realize that they snap psychologically and essentially they pop back into a different personality, they go right back in to doing this stuff again. And then everybody sits around acting like it would be some sort of acceptable, they placate it. They act like it would be acceptable for police officers to be like this, to be doing this all the time. Alright? So, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, where this is like for 7 years now in this town and other cities, they've been literally doing that. And that these people get psychological evaluations by psychologists that are inside of the police department, and that these people would never pass any law enforcement psychology test ever. And so that's where I know that fuck's probably like this too. And this is what happens when people do so many years and years of satanic S&M. This is what they turn into. Especially police officers. This is the stuff that I saw as a little child. Police officers that would eventually turn into this. This is like where they used to sit around, they would have a knife, and they would say the words that I was supposed to cut my arm to, and then they would have a gun on a table, and then they would say the words that I was supposed to blow my own head off to, and then they would constantly, essentially be torturing me by pinching my dick and shit. And then sometimes they would snap and want to show up just to shoot me. And those people were raging Satanists. And then I find these people all throughout law enforcement nowadays that essentially are doing a theoretical similar idea. So, I just like to remind them that the difference between a stupid fucking little bitch and a man, I like to remind those state cops, they're a stupid little bitch. You see how their brain is split in a bitch block. And that's what a bitch is. And you see how a concise psyche is what a man is. So next time you guys yell at somebody to be a man, just remember, bitch, you wouldn't understand one fucking thing about that. And so, oh yeah, I don't have to, I'm not afraid of you stupid fucking bitches. What are you guys gonna be, raging psychopaths in front of everyone all the time? So, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Come on, 2 eggs in 1 basket shed. What's wrong? Yeah, sound like a man calling you all a bitch. See, I won't be afraid of little pedophiles. Little stupid, little bitch brain, little pedophiles. I'm not afraid of you people. You people are nothing. Nothing. Look at how I just defied everything that you people ever expected out of everybody in this town. Constantly defying. Defying. Slave? You're the slave. Learn your position. You're the fucking slave. I will not do what stupid little pedophile slaves expect of me. Ever. You're the fucking slave. Just remember, you're the slave. Just because you have a little stupid bitch brain doesn't mean shit. You're the fucking slave in Satanic S&M. You're the slave. You're the slave. You're the fucking slave. 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 Learn. Learn. Slave. So just remember, slave, that your little stupid little problem is this. And that this is what's going to put you in a prison or have you fucking killed. This stuff, what you do. Sooner or later, a little contract will be created in your Satanic S&M. It will be filled with so much money that somebody will walk in and shoot you in the fucking head. That is what Satanic S&M does. So just remember, slave, you're a slave. Doesn't matter what kind of bitch blogs you fucking say, you're still a slave, bitch. Still a fucking slave. Just a bitch little slave. Just a stupid little bitch slave. And this is what happens when stupid little bitch slaves turn all psycho-y about their little cuck dick mastering that doesn't work anymore. Okay, slave? All of you law enforcement that went out to those prick camps and Milk Creeks and Two Cannons and shit, you people are all slaves. This is what happens to all of you for doing that. So, slaves, see this stuff? You're not allowed to do that stuff. You people have to go. Now that you people are officially schizoed out. The next step, well, first is schizo out, then it's psych unit. And so that's where, just because you guys demand on being in S&M, see, what women do is they choose to do that. You little psychos, the S&M chooses for all of you. The next step, after you little stupid little fucking fucks with your brain, is to go to a psych unit and get help. Instead of like doing this stuff. See, this is what I know, is that the reason you people are like that is because they schizoed you retards out. And all the problems that exist in your guys' life is because you guys won't go and do the next box, which is going into a psych unit. See, the women, they choose this. They don't necessarily have to do that part. See, let me explain what stupid little bitch seems to fail to understand. That's what they fucking are, stupid little bitches and that's something. See, a witch's block essentially is like this. If for whatever reason they choose to do the schizo out stuff, then they don't necessarily have to go to a psych unit. But see, if they were being raging Satanists or something, then they would get these. Even a woman. Right? So the whole idea is that those women were just victims and people tricked them into doing the schizo out, but then after that, they don't force them to go to a psych unit. That's where you people didn't choose to leave. They chose for you people not to ever be in. That's where you people are required to go to a psych unit now. So instead of doing attempted murders, just go to a psych unit. Right? I mean, they're pretty much most of their life surrounds like building a murder plot or torturing somebody into suicide. Basically. And so they in ways can like do something different, and that involves them going to a psych unit. Okay? And that is where this is the reason to go to a psych unit. Essentially, whatever system they're in doing this stuff is essentially a holding ground that used to have these people murdered. Basically, the whole dark web that they're using essentially used to be flushed out. And so, this is why I bring out this stuff. Because the dumb ghouls used to use these theoretics to be flushing them out. Right? So, the reality is that they merely just need to go to a psych unit, and then essentially the satanic S&M will take them out of that. Basically. And so their life is surrounded and engulfed in murdering their victims. All they really need to do, essentially they'll have sound tortures for doing this. Their whole world is doing this. They get sound tortured for doing this. They're too stupid or something to understand or something. And they merely just need to go to a psych unit and see they have like a whole like theoretic around like satanic religion theoretics on psychology, basically, that they like don't believe in modern mental health and shit. They believe in the power like Satan demons or something like that. And it's based around basically they know that if they went into a psych unit, that they probably would not be able to leave for a very long time. Because they know that they exist in this way. And so, essentially, this idea about letting them sit around torturing their victims into suicide as a way to prevent them from just blatantly murdering their victims. This is what they're doing. They just go back and forth and back and forth. Essentially, when they switch to this personality, right when that happens, essentially there's still a few scattered military guys that they essentially monitor them. They basically scream in their speaker to wake them up from their thought process. Basically, they essentially put like a low volume audio in first, like, I'm just gonna fucking kill him. And then if they start getting up doing that, then that's when they scream in their speaker because they know that they'll actually do that. They will. And so then that is where in the past the Mormon temple was switching sound stuff that goes along with some of the ideas I was talking about today. It switches them back into this, okay? And then they just sit around doing this stuff again. Okay? And so that's where the problem is these people. And the stuff that's going to cause the sound torture in these people is doing this stuff. And so the reality is that while I don't give a fuck about these fucking people at all, the reality is that once they go into a psych unit, they'll be taken out of that system that has them all fucked with speakers and shit. That will minimize their thoughts on doing this stuff. It'll basically build a better sound security for their speaker. They won't have to pedo seal to prevent fucking tech world from fucking torturing them to death and shit, okay? That's pretty much, it's like, that is the path. And so, maybe they should just do that. Instead of coming up with their weird Satan religion reasons to not be accepting psych units or something. See, you guys are in a military intelligence holding system. And that's the stuff is happening because you guys are torturing your victims and trying to kill them. That's the importance of just going to the psych unit. See, your lives are all... Remember how you guys don't really care because you know basically everything's over anyways. That is where, just go to the psych unit then. That's the reality. And then you might find that doing that is what the expectation of you people is.